What's the word, y'all boys? Let's get it. Organic spirituals here. I'm about to read some books. Shout out Casanat, yeah. I ain't gonna lie, shout out that nigga, bro. Shout out Casanat. I've always wanted, well, I don't know. But yeah, I definitely want to get my vocal speaking better. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? Like, publicly and stuff like that. But this is a start. So we got a book right here for y'all boys. We got a book right here. Everything you need to know. Shout out my brother too. He gave me this book. I'm saying it really, but about David Icke. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm saying that right, but everything you need to know, right? This is a cool book. The madman who has been proved right again and again and again. David Icke has been warned for nearly 30 years of a global or oh shit. Hold on, let me tee up, yo. I'm already trying to. David Icke has been warning for nearly 30 years of a global state in which a tiny few would enslave humanity through control of finance, government, media, and a military police Gestapo overseeing 24/7 surveillance of a microchip population. He has said that physically reality is an illusion and what we think is the world is a holographical simulation or a matrix created by a non-human force to entrap human perception and ongoing servitude. They called him crazy, insane, a lunatic, and he was subjected to decades of ridicule, dismissal, and abuse. Oh, but how things change. Today, his books are read all over the world, and his speaking events are watched by thousands on every continent. Why? Because what he has been so derided for saying is now happening in world events, and mainstream scientists are concluding that really is indeed a simulation. Almost every day, someone that David Icke said long ago is supported by happenings and evidence. That's just the back page. I ain't gonna cap. Damn, yo. I gotta start reading more. I haven't done this since like fourth grade, nigga. Popcorn reading, but niggas know how it gets. Y'all know how it is, man. You know what I'm saying? Let me get to it. I'm just going to the first page because I ain't doing all that. Alright. You feel me? Chapter 1. The biggest need to know. This world is full of people who have never, since childhood, met an open doorway with an open mind. Once upon no time, in a land called forever, there was only awareness of itself, all possibility and all potential waiting to manifest. There was no form, only potential, imagination of the form of every possible kind. This was the infinite stage of pure awareness, from which all that we think we see has ultimately come. That opening paragraph captures so many common themes encoded in the narratives and symbolism of religion and the myths, legend, and account of native and ancient people over the world. They further include the story of how a negative or evil force emerged to challenge the omnipotence of the original creative force. From this appeared the universal theme of God versus the devil or Satan and endless other names awarded to this source of chaos, upheaval, and manipulation. Most people can't see the commonalities amid the apparent confusion of different religions, names, cultures, and emphasis. But if you can see past the different detail, the same basic story is in plain sight. This is only possible, however, if you can expand perception beyond the dots and see the themes, connections that then come clearly into view. Forever and advocates of religion and storytellers among natives people continue to use the language of the ancient originators, and this can obscure the fact that which is being described can today be expressed in the language of science and computation. They will talk of the Father and the Son, for example, when these were only the terms used to describe massive, though ultimately simple, concepts in a way that those of the time could grasp. What is the point of talking about quantum physics and quantum computers to the people still knocking rocks together? Storytellers and carriers of the knowledge obviously used contemporary terms and symbols to get their points across. This was true of all religions and forms of worship. That was fine and essential then, but the narrative needs to move on. Knowledge of the hidden realms of quantum mechanics and so much else has expanded dramatically, while religions and native people, with honorable exceptions, continue to use the language of another age. An update is urgently required. That is one of the aim of this book. We will see that. I bet. Themes of religion in native cultures are basically correct. Emphasis often on basically. Type. Most accounts have become so inverted and distorted from the original that billions today are following and worshipping the very opposite of what they think they are. Facts. You feel me? Worship your God only. One God only. We should not be worshiping anybody or anything else when we are the anybody and everything everything. It's us, you feel me? It's saying we are. I mess with this. To show, y'all still with me? Hold on. Alright. To show this to be requires a total evaluation of what we call reality, the world we think we see, and with we think we daily interact. I called this opening chapter "The Biggest Need to Know," because without this knowledge, nothing else can be making any sense. In this oppression that is ensured that the generation after generation in the culture upon culture complete entire lifetimes while we never answer the basic question of who I am, where I am, what are we doing here. This is a fundamental question secret behind why the answers have been kept from us. And when that veil is lifted from human society and ancient and modern morphs into crystal clarity, it is indeed a case of everything you need to know, but have never been told. Systematically imposed ignorance entraps humanity in perceptual servitude and allows tiny few to control the very many. If we are to free ourselves from this tyranny, the veil of perceptual illusion must first be lifted. Reality check. The scale of illusion is staggering. Ask all but the relative few if they live in a solid physical world, and they will look at you blank. Bewilderment for even posing the question of course we do. Don't be silly, but actually we don't. No, we don't. Consider that for a moment. Every morning we experience our solid body getting out of a solid bed, to eat our solid breakfast and head through solid streets in a solid vehicle, to go to solid work or solid wherever. But all the time there is no solid. As illusions go, they don't get any more extreme. I chuckle when I hear the fake news mainstream media dismissing other versions of events as conspiracy theories, and too far-fetched to believe, while reporting the world from the perspective that everything is solid when it isn't. The self-delusion is monumental because so is the scale of perception programming. I have been labeled mad and insane for nearly 30 years by mainstream society, especially the media, on the basis of that very self-delusion. Many of the things that I say are happening would not be possible if reality was physical and solid, but it's not. Those who dismiss and ridicule what I say are coming from a perceptual of solidity and have no idea what the world really is. Hardly surprising then that they say I'm crazy. We are told that our solid material reality is made of atoms and everything is solid, physical because of them. But hold on, atoms have no solidity, and so cannot be a solid world. Make five atoms, fig atoms. Atoms are said to have a nucleus orbited by electrons in a relationship akin to minor solar systems, and everything else is empty space. How can this make a world solid? I contend that the nucleus and electrons have no solidity either, that they are even material existence, illusionary, although quantum physics gives them marginal materiality. I bet. Let's get it, yeah. Alright. Here's a quote to put that marginal into context. If the nucleus were the size of a peanut, the atom would be about the size of a baseball stadium. If we lost all dead space in our atoms, we would be able to fit into a particle of dust, and the entire human race would fit into the volume of a sugar cube. Make that racism deal look a bit ridicule, eh? Quantum physics say that 99.99999% and more of what is called ordinary matter is empty space. In fact, space, another illusion, is not actually empty but bursting with energy that we can't see. There is space energy that we can see, and we can call this reality. There is space energy that we cannot see, and we call this empty. Human sight is verging on the blind when you compare what we can see and what we can't see. Almost entirety of infinity existence is denied to us while we are perceptual, enslaved in that tiny band of frequency. High dimensions or densities. The world is a tiny frequency range. Our world is only a band of frequency. Science calls visible light electromagnetic spectrum is only 0.005% of what we exist in the universe in terms of energy and what is referred to as matter. Some say it's a bit more, but not much. Think about that, 0.005%. Now contemplate this. Humans can only see that tiny fraction. Make most of the rest is dark matter and dark energy. By mainstream physics, I don't buy their version of what this dark is really. I use the term only in sense of being unseen by human sight senses. People say that this or that is not possible, while virtually 100% of what exists in infinite forever is not visible to them. A little humility is urgently required. So, you feel me? We believe in stuff that we can't see, so anything's possible. You feel me? Anything's possible. Given that mainstream science, quantum physics apart will largely not explore beyond that seen in what is considered to be tangible, it becomes clear why its concrete conclusions have been proved to be so inaccurate and often ridiculous. Yet this same science is perceived as promoted today by its bewildered advocates and believers as the arbiter of all knowledge. This extraordinary on the face of it, but then not so much when you see the whys and wherefores of global perception, and deception. The illusion is so deep that we have never ever touched anything in that way that we think we have. Oh, but you're holding a book right now. No, you're holding on to an electromagnetic field of information with electromagnetic fields of information. The experience of touch is the connection between different electromagnetic fields. The experience of apparent solidity is really electromagnetic resistance between energetic fields of a different frequency or density. You who are not solid cannot walk through a wall which is not solid because of electromagnetic resistance, and the not physical resistance because there is no physical. This all sounds so fanatic and unbelievable to the human conscious mind, but it's true. But we don't hear anything until the brain has decoded electromagnetic communications from our ears. The ears don't hear, the brain does. The same applies with sight, taste, and smell. A falling tree doesn't make no noise unless someone else is there to decode the vibrational disturbance triggered in the air into electro signals that the brain then decodes to the sound we recognize as a falling tree. Otherwise, the tree falls in silence. We hear human speech only when the vibrational information fields generated by the vocal cords and decoding by the brain. Modern pain relief techniques involve brain blockage my fucking God. Blocking messages from the point of pain from reaching the brain because until that communication is made, you can feel no discomfort. The brain that says ouch, not the point of impact. The entire Yo, fuck, nigga. Excuse my language, Trevor. That shit's funny. Alright, let me lock it. The entire world that we think and we see in the form that we think we see, it only exists in the cubic centimeters at the back of the human brain where visual reality is decoded. Remember that human society is founded on the physical world being real, tangible, and solid. This delusion is driving the perceptions and decisions of politics, medicine, media, corporations, and science. Quantum physics apart. The whole shebang, in fact. Everything is based on the most basic misunderstanding of our very reality. And in the shadows beyond the realm of the seen, this is all by design. Those at the cutting edge of the mainstream science are proving experimentally that physically is an illusion as genuine scientists and seekers of the truth break from the Stone Age orthodoxy. Here's a telling quote from artist and filmmaker Sergio Toporek. Consider that you see this less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum, and hear less than 1% of the acoustic spectrum. 90% of the cells in your body carry their own microbial DNA and are not you. The atoms in your body are 99.99999% empty space and none of them are the ones you were born with. Humans being born with 46 chromosomes, 2 less than a potato. The existence of a rainbow depends on the kinetical photoreceptors in your eyes. To animals without cones, the rainbow does not exist. So you just looked at a rainbow, you created it. This is pretty amazing, especially considering that all beautiful colors you see represent less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum. Let's get it, y'all. Alright, we done for today, yo. I ain't gonna cap. I was a little